must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
It is ridiculous and it is against the laws of nature that we can have somebody sitting pretty who takes home more money than the credible entrepreneur doing actual production of goods and services.
We always say it as it is. It is only in this country that when a thief is arrested, you hear elders from their tribe saying, "He is our son and he is our thief."
If you are deviant and I call you leader, probably you are already a leader, but you are leading in the wrong direction.
We want to see the role of the youth in the security, governance, and development.
The youth that I meet and work with here, you know, we call them the millennials and X's and Y's, this and that. They don't necessarily want to live like their fathers and grandfathers, do business like their fathers and grandfathers. They're more independent, they're better educated, and they're the ones that are making everything move in this region.
We look at the issues, we talk about issues that impact people's lives in Africa. The African peoples themselves continue to cheer bad leaders, and because they cheer them on, they continue to be misled.
Let me ask you, doctor, would you rather be somebody who does not enjoy so much freedom but you are rich?
Yes.
Or you'd rather be poor who you are actually imprisoned by the poverty itself?
My goal is not to come here and say, I want the majority ownership, I want to own this, I want to own that, I want to do this. My goal is we all make money and we're all happy, and I help build a big business here.
Punchline is for Africa, with Africa, from Africa.
We discuss Africa. We see what ails Africa. And today, this afternoon, we want to see whether Sudan will permanently remain a sick child of Africa. Is it a permanent sickness? Can we resolve the issues of Southern Sudan? Is it something that has gone wrong for 200 years? There has always been a problem in Southern Sudan, in that great region, starting from all the way the Alimadi Wars and the rest of all what happened until today. Peace seems to be elusive. Why has UN taken slow action? Why hasn't UN set up a tribunal? We want to see a tribunal that will make sure that Southern Sudan people are accountable. Those who committed crimes against the human beings. 20,000 Sudanese perished. They are perished. They are not accountable. Nobody can account for them. And we cannot sit here, go on hammering peace agreements without mechanisms of accountability. If we set a tribunal for Sierra Leone, for Rwanda, for Camera Rouge, we need somebody to stand up for the poor masses, the masses that have died, the masses that continue to die, the masses that are being brutalized, murdered, maimed on a daily basis by marauding armies of both Riek Machar and Salva Kiir. There must be an accountability. You are not going to sit here and tell people there is no accountability in Southern Sudan. There must be a tribunal. Why do we run to harass countries of Kenya, put ICC on Kenya, put ICC on this country, put ICC on Central African Republic? Why have we delayed on putting a tribunal for Southern Sudan to find out who is killing, who has been killing, how they have been killing people? Let me speak for the people in Southern Sudan, the women, the children who have not gone to school, the children who have no medicine, the children who have nothing, who have been running since 2013, and the war cannot end because of two people. Let them face the tribunal. I'm not going to keep quiet as a Pan-African to see Southern Sudan being maimed, being tortured, being cut, dismembered, and we keep quiet and watch people vote images of people, of malcontents singing to us in Uganda, in Kenya, in Ethiopia, in South Africa, telling us they have money. Let them face the international tribunal and tell the tribunal who gave them the guns, where they buying them, how they were killing people. Enough of is enough. Enough is enough for Africa. We have had enough. There is no need of that anymore. Enough is enough. And if people have died, they will not cry. We people who are left on planet Earth must cry for them. We must find justice for them. We must make sure that their leaders who go on bragging on television stations all over the world should are accountable. They must be behind bars.
First of all, let me thank you. I've prepared 2 papers which I believe will be circulated because they'll not be projected. But if you can see, first of all, I want to agree with the Honorable Minister. I've done 2 pictorials. One of them is described as Africa at the dinner table. And if you look at Africa at the dinner table, Africa is on a plate and it is meat. And the diners at the dinner table are France, the United Kingdom, the United States, the European Union, the Chinese, and progressively the Arabs. And my second picture is the African hotspots. It's not visible from there. But if you look at Africa today and you make a clean sweep with your mind, there are different conflicts of different intensity in Somalia, in northern Mauritania, in northern Mali, in Central African Republic, Democratic Republic of Congo, Guinea-Bissau, in the Cameroons, in South Sudan, and one can go on and on. And there is a sense in which Africa has always been alive to the question of interference. I will refer this audience, particularly those who are starting, to take time and read the 32 odd speeches that were made in the month of May 1963 by the then heads of states and government of independent African states, the 32 of them. And there are 2 speeches that I want to isolate for this presentation. One was by David Dacko of Central African Republic. And in thanking Emperor Haile Selassie and Kwame Nkrumah on that day, he said that we must never forget that the colonial power has not left us. We must recognize that he did not go willingly. And if we don't check them, they'll come back again. And what would little Central African Republic do against them? Today, he is right. Today, if we remember the activities of France and how they have propped up the regime of Jean-Bedel Bokassa, he was right. Today, as the Honorable Minister has indicated, Africa remains the only continent in the world that is referred to in these terms, Anglophone, to mean that we are a sphere of our erstwhile colonizers. About 2 weeks ago, there was a meeting of the Commonwealth in London, England. And a friend of mine who is an Anglophile sent me the photograph very gleefully, saying this is a meeting of 53 equal states. I told him, no. If it was so, why is it that the leadership of the Commonwealth is hereditary rather than rotational? In other words, in the minds of the British, her former colonies are still under her tutelage. And I want to submit to us that in the minds of what I'll call the conceptual West, they think they have a divine duty to instruct Africans what to do.
True.
And in the minds of many African leaders, they think that they have a divine duty to accept what they are told. That, in my view, is what the Honorable Minister was talking about, the mindset. And this is something that has been examined. We have seen France and its very pernicious presence in Africa. We know what they did in Burkina Faso against Thomas Sankara. We know what they did in Mali or the Sudan against Modibo Keita or against Sékou Touré in Guinea. Pernicious to the core. The Portuguese, we know what battles had to be fought in that area. And let me put this very bluntly. When the former leader of Portugal, Marcelo Caetano, was asked, why can you...
Good morning, viewers. Welcome to Punchline Africa TV, broadcasting all the way from Nairobi, the Republic of Kenya. Thank you very much. Simultaneously broadcasting in London. Viewers, today is the World Press Freedom Day. And therefore, as the World Freedom Press Media Day, we shall look at aspects of the media. How far is freedom and what is freedom? What is press freedom? How many countries in the world have achieved the press freedom? And if there is press freedom at all, which countries in Africa can we single out as the most available countries for praise, freedom of praise, freedom of association, freedom of assembly, as you can see Pierre Lumumba was talking about. And let's engage ourselves, engage the people of this country, this continent, and the world at large. Mine is a role this morning to play a very critical and a crucial role. Topics that have come to across which the editorial has said, one of them is a very, very, very good topic at the heart of my heart. At the heart of my heart, the center of my heart, that is the judiciary, and then we have the reality or the myth. Is it a myth or reality? I will tell you the story why I chose that topic. And it syncs very well with what we are going to discuss this morning. So this morning, viewers, let's go straight to the headlines or the topics that we want to bring to our people. One, the first topic is it time for reforms in the Kenyan judiciary? Is it time for reforms in the Kenyan judiciary? Do we need to reform the Kenyan judiciary in order to win the war against corruption? I'll discuss that together with Miriam and you viewers out there who can engage us. Of course, I've not forgotten to introduce Miriam. She's in the studio, but on the left flanked side, where she's smiling and keeping quiet, and as usual, ready to go slow. And she has that journalistic approach of a broadcaster. Mine is a role of telling the truth and saying what it is without fear of any contradiction and the fear of any intimidation from any angle that perceives or that wants to threaten us. I just want to be very candid and tell you that on the question of corruption in Africa, we are going to help Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta to fight up to the end. Whether we remain 1, 2, or 3, or 0, I or 2 of us that believe in the same principle of fighting corruption. I'm not a Kenyan, but I will be a Pan-African friend. That is it. There are people who think that Pan-Africanism cannot occur to them anytime. I did not know some years back when I was born 60 years ago, I did not know that Pan-Africanism could occur to me, that I would be speaking in London or Harare or Kenya. I did not know. So in this world, don't assume that a permanent injury of mine today cannot be yours tomorrow. I want to tell the people, those who laugh, those who write comments, the Kenyans who enjoy laughter and mocking and insults and hate speech directed at some of us because we belong to nowhere, but communities belong to somewhere. There is only one journey, that the journey that once you distort the social contracts, the basement of the social contracts, the basements that we are destroying today in Kenya, as I'm going to explain to you. We are touching, we don't want them to be built. We don't want health care to be built. We don't want food security. You don't want the welfare state. You don't want, how will you make a social contract? You don't want people to borrow. How will you make a social contract for this nation? How? So today, those are some of the things that I want to touch on. Being a Friday, I am going to be very candid so that I can have my best weekend and sit and reflect of what I've said. I am not, for example, I want to warn those people, especially Dennis Itumbi, that I am not the one, and I will never be. I am not in the Senate. And if we write about what we have heard in the Senate, for example, yesterday, the Senate interviewed Mr. Governor of Kiambu, and in the interview, they were talking about, they were reading documents. The governor himself was reading documents, answering questions. It is stupid, narrow, shallow, prudish, sardonic for a lumpen of that grade to think that documents that were presented to the Senate were not authentic. They were not right documents. The authenticity of those documents is not me. I don't verify documents. I have never gone to school to read proof or proofreading of documents or to verify whether they are fake or not. How on earth can a whole Senate, this is what I'm going to ask, have fake documents? If the Auditor General produced fake documents, how on earth can a whole institution of the Senate of the Republic of Kenya rely on fake documents? Surely, can the whole Senate and the whole clerk of the Senate explain to the country that these documents that were read when Mr. Waititu, the governor of Kiambu himself, why didn't he refute? Why didn't he refuse that he's not going? Those were not our accounts. I'm asking questions because I am dealing with narrow-minded people here. My brain is not narrow. I have enough knowledge in my brain to sustain such stupidity. But because I have to take a step forward to tell even students or people who have tried to go to school or who are trying to go to school or who should return to school that I did not, and I don't know. We only came up, we listened to the television, we saw the governor of Kiambu answering questions. If the documents were fake, why did the governor answer the questions to the fake documents? This idea of sotomoto, of people moving around, entering, doing business as they want to do, is stupid. And I'm not part of that. And I'm sorry. I've said and I've stated and I will state, whether I remain alone, I will do it. I'm not bothered. The documents did not come from us. The documents came from the Senate. If the governor of Kiambu knew that these documents were not his documents, one would wonder whether a county of Kiambu were selling rebels to Mr. Riek Machar. Because reading the documents, you see Kiambu on South Sudan peace process. How was it related to the whole process of money that was given to Kiambu through an automated system called Ithimith? Was this money transferred from Ithimith up to Kiambu? Because the money is never carried. Those days we used to see accountants on Friday carrying money, going to the bank and withdrawing to pay workers. These days workers are paid through their either M-Pesa or automated systems of the government. So did this money, 900 million, leave the central system? Because we have been having a hacker. There's someone who has been a hacker, people who have been hackers. In NYS 1, there was a hacker. We have never found this hacker who said he had taken documents that the password of Ithimith was stolen. Who is this in Kenya who's always steals the password of Ithimith? Who? Who, Miriam? Who in Kenya steals these words? Who keeps them? Those are some of the things that I want to know. Because the first one, NYS 1, Mr. Itumbi came out and said, the money is not lost. The password, Arako said the password was stolen. Who steals this password? Who? Who is this? Who is an expert that steals the government password every day and runs around to collect the money? Who passed the huge money? Who put the huge money on the account of Kiambu? Was there no accountant who could say, no, this is not our money? 900, almost 1 billion shillings for State House journey. The journey between Kiambu and the State House, were we carrying horses of emperor? Whose emperor horses were they being carried? Of Julius Caesar? Because Julius Caesar's horse was more than a state of Italy. One horse, if it had to die, several people would lose their lives. I don't know whether even Itumbi reads this history. I don't know. Try to get yourself engaged. Because this is World Press Freedom Day, that even you have studied cheap journalism, go back and study a bit and understand tools of analysis. Because yesterday I was being, I just brought a picture, a video, and I put it online. It created me problems. It was a viral. That is the clip, the video of Mr. Waititu being interviewed. Just it. I just did as governor or senator of Homa Bay. Mr. Kajwang was interviewing Mr. Waititu, where Waititu should have stood up and said, my friend, you are interviewing me of a wrong thing. This is not my account from my county. I don't have a budget of that nature. But Waititu went along, agreeing, even answering questions, even justifying some of those things. There must have been an error himself. So when a person like that does, and experts who are very good at theft, you see, at theft, at changing documents, at theft experts, very dangerous experts, come up and say, no, there is something, the papers were done from somewhere. Okay, was the Senate, my question to the viewers, Kenyans, did the Senate get wrong paperwork to use it and spend taxpayers' money and spoil people's names? I leave it to there and come back to my subject. The judiciary. Analyst Miriam, you have a comment. I leave you to comment now.
All right, on that, I think that as the Senate was very clear when the Homa Bay Senator was carrying on the questioning of Kiambu Governor, Mr. Ferdinand Waititu, and he told him, but you are the one who has brought us this report. We are just reading what you brought us, before he made a turnaround about, he's not aware, it might not be his. I think that for a long time, a lot of these leaders have been taking Kenyans for a ride. And now when you read headlines like Waititu faces arrest over payments, I think, yes, as you were saying here yesterday, the DCI needs to go and really look into these accounts and see what is really happening in Kiambu County and other counties across the country. So they should stop.
I don't think the DCI should just go around and look. The DCI, Mr. Kinoti, my good friend, brother, should have already arrived at Waititu's home. Yes. How was the governor of Samburu arrested? Mm-hmm. These are the things causing problems, divisions here. How was the governor arrested? The governor of Samburu was arrested how? On what?
So they should do the same thing.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So when I had, even on the news yesterday, all the media houses were reporting South Sudan peacekeeping mission was costing how much?
Exactly. How does Waititu, does he buy rebels? Does Waititu service rebels in South Sudan? I mean, let's be very honest. What DCI should do is now to see. This involves, because you are bringing in South Sudan a war zone. It involves intelligence, it's serious intelligence, international intelligence. Did any money from Nairobi go to kill some people in Kenya, in Juba?
Because there have been some...
So many things.
Yes.
Because if you are mentioning something of South Sudan in Kiambu,
it's very delicate.
It is a delicate matter that can blow up and cause more international ruffle international feathers.
I think that shook, I mean, everybody was shocked.
Yes.
Like,
so I wrote it as it is.
Yes.
I said, I don't know whether the Kiambu governor was delivering rebels to Riek Machar or to Salva Kiir. One of them. What role was the money that was meant to build the hospitals in Kiambu, for the people of Kiambu, for the roads of Kiambu? How does it find itself in Juba? Mm-hmm. How? How does the money that was meant to build a bridge in Githunguri end up in
South Sudan peacekeeping?
In Lokochwang, or Makol, or Agbo, or Obo, Ibo.
Which, if investigated, I'm sure that money really was never...
Or Rikwamba.
What does Kiambu County have to do with a peacekeeping? Because if it's peacekeeping mission in South Sudan, that is between Kenya and South Sudan, not a Kiambu governor. So that should be investigated, and I'm happy the investigative bodies are ready on it. And as you can see from the headlines of the Star newspaper, Waititu faces arrest over payment. So let's just see what the investigators will come up with after they're through with that.
I told you the story. Mm-hmm. Was I wrong? A few weeks ago, I told you the story on how Mr. Waititu in The Hague I went to The Hague on rule number 68, although Ruto did not want me to go there.
Oh, that story.
Yes. Ruto told the people Matanga should not be entertained. I found my way, and I went to help him, though, without my presence in that conference. Rule 68 would not have been overturned. I worked day and night flat out. Fought NGOs to the extent of even being taken to the police station. Mr. Harun Dube went and reported to the Netherlands police that I had killed Mr. Jonjo Mue. These are the Kenyans I always sit around with. Jermaine, when I started this story, sympathize with me. I suffered. This is Rule 68. And they had actually told Ngunjiri to go because Ngunjiri was the baby boy, the love boy of number 2. I was left back. I found my way into The Hague. I became the savior for rule number 68 to be rejected. Matanga, the 7 days I stayed in The Hague, saved that gentleman. I confronted even the chief prosecutor. While confronting the chief prosecutor, I found the names of the people the chief prosecutor wants to arrest. And one of the names that they wanted to arrest was Mr. Waititu. And now Mr. Waititu, while I was talking to the chief prosecutor, Mr. Waititu came to me. He says he wants to meet, he wants a card, a business card from the chief prosecutor. I tried to tell him in Kiswahili, please just go, enda kaa huko. And the chief prosecutor and the bodyguard and other people were asking, who is this guy? I could not say, now I was caught up. I said, my friend, go and see, kaa huko nakuja. This is the truth. This guy is the one they want to arrest. And he's going to get a card from the chief prosecutor asking the woman who is looking for them. There was a list circulated which we managed to steal from the ICC. None of them could have got that list. I don't want also to speak like a Atoli. Haki ya Mungu. Then you find one man is annoyed with you. Over what? When you have helped him. Rule 68 would have not passed. Walai. Ask Duale. Ask Mulkomen, ask Amina Mohammed, ask Macharia, ask them. They are here in offices occupying them. Ask them how I worked and even Bulldog finished it. My debate came on top. It was my debate. The agenda, I set it, it arrived. Even the chairperson of the state of the Assembly of State Parties, the man from Senegal, said that guy is correct. Dr. Matanga is right. All people who have t-shirts, who have worn all those t-shirts demonizing the Kenyan suspects, remove them or get out of the hall. I won. 10,000 delegates clapped for me. I jumped on Mrs. Otieno and I apologize for having jumped on her. I should have jumped on her in a different way. But I jumped on her in public to save people. My name, look at my children looking at me at the television. I'm jumping on a woman during the time tearing her t-shirt for the sake of these people. Sasa wamefika madaraka, wanaanza kupiga watu. Walai. Mungu anaangalia tu. Then this guy comes and says, I am the one, how on earth Waititu comes to ask the chief prosecutor for the business card and appointment, I told Waititu, kaa pande huko, tunakuja tutakwambia, tutoke hata hapa. We removed Alice Ng'ang'a and Ichung'wah, the MP4. We removed Waititu from the hall. I sacrificed my 700 euros, which Ichung'wah has not paid up to today. Mimi, I speak the truth. What will they do to me? Kill me? They never paid me. Ichung'wah said he was flying to Turkey for business. He never came back paid up to today. To save the situation from the hall, and we told Mr. Waititu, get on the plane and leave. We facilitated for him to leave that same afternoon. That is the governor. He's going to ask. So I am not surprised that yesterday he can turn around and say, I don't know about this paper. He was going to ask. He knows that it's Fatou Bensouda, and she's looking for you. Fatou Bensouda was looking for a group of 11 people. The list, I smuggled it from ICC, stolen from ICC. Some people were seated in the conference hall, smiling when the woman was looking for them. Me, I could not be looked for because already they had cleared me. They had arrested me in Nairobi, charged me, dropped the charges. Look at that type of man, of life. So when you see a governor like this man, he might not have known that money was being passed. He carried this report to the committee. Why didn't he tell the committee that, hello, I am sorry, I am not the one you are looking for. This committee, this report is for another, for a bigger office.
But he came with a report.
Yeah, exactly.
He handed them over the report.
Miriam, let's move on.
Yes.
You see that? And these are truth. The book is coming for all this episode of ICC. How Harun Dubi, you owe me, Harun Dubi. You owe me. You owe me a lot. You told the Netherlands police that I had killed Mr. Njonjo Mue. Is Njonjo Mue not alive? Is Njonjo Mue not alive? This is Harun Dubi. You know, you look at the people who, surely I cannot go to that extent to go and tell a lie among the Muzungu that so that I am arrested. The police came to ask me, where is the man? We go to the CCTV. The man booked a taxi to leave. This is a day for the truth, because I've hidden and I've kept so quiet. I've been molested. I've been injured. Some people even use me. They hate me. I'm a human being with life, with children also. They looked at the CCTV. What did they find out? They found out that Njonjo Mue ordered for a taxi, which took him to the airport called Schiphol Airport to return to Nairobi. All what I did was to give Mr. Njonjo Mue his bag, because Njonjo Mue in the toilet told me while we are having susu, we are peeing in the toilet for short call. Njonjo Mue told me he had seen two Mungiki people in the hall. So they know him from Nairobi. He wants to run away. All what I did was to help Njonjo Mue to escape from Netherlands. Mr. Harun Dubi, God bless you. You placed me in the records of the books of Netherlands police. Some people here are eating. I'm not eating. They are eating. I suffered. Police came only to go upstairs. I had also booked a suite on top of the conference hall. All my documents were everywhere. Police said, you are also in the conference. Yes. Then Njonjo Mue, Harun Dubi, and Gladiole Otieno accused me again that I stole their t-shirts. I stole the t-shirts that at night I carried them. I said, no, I carried my books. So look, let's go upstairs. I suffered. I've suffered for these guys. May God bless you people. Enjoy. You enjoy. Machozi yangu yapana weza kuja bure. Enjoy. Look at that. I go up with Netherlands police again. The same police of yesterday say, you again? Is there a problem with this? I say, these people don't like me. Politically, they want to kill me. I need protection now. And being a citizen in Europe, I earn the protection. I said, look, these guys have been looking to kill me from Africa. They wanted to kill me on the plane. Now things turned on them. You know, their police say, came, how did you say the t-shirts were stolen? Yet this guy has also his material. You say yesterday, Jonjo, this is the same guy. Jonjo is in Nairobi. In the morning, the Star newspaper. I want to thank you, the Star newspaper. You saved my life. The Star newspaper pictures Mr. Jonjo Moe arriving at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, addressing a conference, to the press, and saying the conference he came back because he was threatened. The presence of Mungiki in the conference, not me. Now this picture, luckily enough with internet, Netherlands police, the man you are looking for is here. Have you seen? I need an apology from Harun Dubi. Up to today. That's why I knelt down and I cursed him with my tears that every day we drive the car, police will catch him. Nyenye mcheze. Every time. Yeah. Shika.
He was arrested for DUI a few months ago.
What is DUI?
Driving under influence.
Yes. Twice, thrice, 4. Every time. Until he comes to apologize to me. Kneel before me. And say, sorry, you did it. Surely you finished me. 3 incidents. Look at that. The conference, we would not have one Rule 68 without this Ugandan. Ask Duale, ask anybody, ask Amina Mohammed, ask Macharia, the PS for who were there, ask Onyoka. We sat on you can show those photographs. I sat and I did. These guys did not know what to do with ICC. They were begging them. You don't beg international diplomatic group. You tell them facts as an activist. And I did so. I secured my people of Kenya. It is up to you to give a credit. If you want, give. If you don't want, God will give me. And I will carry it home. I will still continue to do what I think is correct. On that note, with the work envelope, if the ruling on 28th says, yes, there is no more, I will go to another court, and believe me or not, I will subpoena anyone to bring that envelope. I will subpoena. Don't underrate me. There are several places where we can have that document, because I know if I perish from this world and I leave that envelope standing behind, it will come to haunt one of my friends or 2 of my friends. I know the international law. I know it. The government in the US might now be against ICC. But remember, the government that could come should the Democrats win an election, given that Mr. Trump is being taken down the river of Babylon. Okay? There is likelihood that the Democrats will win an election. Immediately they win an election before 2022, they will reaffirm their support for the International Criminal Court. You hear me? That's what they are going to do. And they tell them that we are not signing the treaty, none of our people will come there. But we give you support financially, morally, to get everybody, every black African who was making any silly mistake on the continent, chukua. They will come back, they will find that evidence lying there. What will you do? You say it was not there? Whom will you tell that it was not correct? The judge himself who wrote the envelope is here. He's still practicing judge. The country cannot ask him to come and tell the BBI. He could come and tell the BBI that I am the one. These are the names that I took on paper. Can he say he didn't know the names he was writing? That is what has killed Kenya up to today. Listen left and right. Kenya is dying because of that. That ICC envelope is the main cause of divisions that we see in Kenya today. One group says a group sat somewhere, selected us to be killed. Another group says it is not us, it is you. Isn't that division? Coming back to the court in summary, there is need for reforms in the court. The need for reforms in the court, in the Supreme Court especially of Kenya, which has got a problem now, are very important for the corruption scandals to go away. For President Uhuru Kenyatta to win a war against corruption so that he leaves a legacy, he has got to fix his focus, tentacles, return his focal point on the judiciary. The judiciary seems to be bringing quite a lot of difficulties in the sense that it is only the judiciary where things have not been moving well. I want you to see this. Let me send it to my production team for you to know that we don't sleep. We get all these things working. We want to know the number of judges that are worth to be called judges on the panel. Then you can tell me which type of judiciary you have. There you are, Stephen. Listen to that when it starts, tell us, so that this side will also listen directly. Because that is what we need to do. How many judges are there? Waititu case, we are finished. A cry for beloved women of Kenya, I think that's a subject you want to touch. Yes, for you. Why is it we need a social structure today, at least to discuss
some of this issues.
Why are women becoming victims?
Yes, of killing.
Is it what it is? We need a social Africa, the social Africa, which we have a show here, that a full 1 hour to look at the causes that make Africa look women, beautiful women dying.
Yeah, and now the murders have been linked to depression, drug abuse, hard economic times, and pressure from the society. And
some are being killed.
Have been murdered by their loved ones.
Yes,
and others
some
disappeared. Yes.
Choice of the loved ones is very important.
Yes.
If you see traits of a parent, a man who wants to seduce you, and he has some traits of disappearing at night, coming back late, then he doesn't tell you where he run away.
Hold on. A person can disappear at night and come back in the morning.
Yes.
Does that even happen?
It's normal.
Normal where?
Because of your place. Your place is impossible. Because you are very strict to the point.
We are not playing that.
Yes.
You disappear and then you come back in the morning.
Yeah.
From where?
That's
so it happens to other people.
Some girls don't care about it.
Oh, okay.
Some ladies don't care.
Or maybe the man is just too aggressive. You can't ask where he's coming
from. Then what
if
he's aggressive? What has he given you? Gold? Well, pack and ship?
Yeah, the packing and shipping, sometimes it's easier said than done, because when you talk to a lot of these women, they all have this, when you live with a narcissist so much, they've gotten into your mind, and there's that mental abuse, and sometimes it's very fuzzy. They cannot really think clearly and make proper decisions until they're able to really decide that for themselves. You'll tell a person, why are you still there? Why don't you leave? You'll not even understand. That's normally the response you'll get. But this is something that the society should really pay attention to. When a young man just drives all the way from Thika to Eldoret with an axe to murder the girlfriend, that is a problem. You know, when a person like the case that really hit headlines just a few months ago, Mary Wamboi, who was murdered by the husband's mistress also, you know, things that really are very unusual and were very unheard of a couple of years ago. And now they make headlines, and it is worrying times. And indeed, what happens to our, you know, our social, even our moral, I think it's the moral decadence, and also there are a lot of issues in terms of depression, drug abuse, also hard economic times seems to be the driving factors when it comes to some of these cases. So this is something I think that we will find time and discuss in detail. But also, well, as we wait for that video, I was reading somewhere about the judges. I think you mentioned the judges, and they were just looking at the judges that are not even supposed to be in the courts right now, and you know, the ones who are facing a lot of cases that have been filed against them. And please, production, when the video is ready, you can let us know. We're waiting for it. Yes. Is it on page 6? Yes. Yes. The JSC under
it is ready.
As it is.
It is ready.
Okay.
The video is ready. Let's have a look at it. And thank you very much, viewers, wherever you are watching us. We were talking about the reforming the judiciary in Kenya. Does the judiciary in Kenya need new blood? And as Miriam was saying, there is a place where you said they talked about how many are left.
Yes.
Who is actually worth it?
Who is even worth it?
Yes.
And the JSC under the spotlight as it delays decision on removal of key judges.
Yes.
They're confused. And now they were arguing that when it came to Judge Jackton Bomojuang, it took them a week to arrive at the decision to form a
tribunal.
Yes. And why is it taking them so long?
Because there is a Chief Justice, a Deputy Chief Justice. The Deputy Chief Justice is under the microscope. And the election took place last weekend, was it? Agenda 1, as expected.
Yes.
Yes, you see? The same guy.
Yes.
So how do you expect the same guy who has been protecting the same bad judges to be on the panel to remove one of them?
So apparently there have been some external influence that is causing delays.
Yes, external influence.
For the 3 judges.
Especially on the question of agenda. The only thing that we have to do quickly is, before agenda sits to settle in that place, is to pass that law in the parliament. And we've gone further. The MP in Nyeri is going to pass that law. The law is in Parliament, is already being scrutinized by the MPs, by the tribunal, sorry, the committee, the legal committee. Lawyers who are practicing cannot be members of the tribunal. And you can do whatever you want to do, Mr. Ogenda. We shall get you.
And maybe just
that law will be passed.
Yes.
And once it is passed, Ogenda automatically loses the seat. You cannot do any corruption if Ogenda is on the JSC. Impossible. Those are the men who have built mansions, flats, apartments all over the whole of Kenya, out of the misery of the Kenyan people. One of them is hanging in court. The lawyer is hanging outside. Another one is fighting for his life. He was a very humble person who grew up by stealing heavily from Kenyans. Yeah. I knew Kidero when he was very young. Very humble guy. You know, doing bad jobs in the US in order to get money. Now you see where he has gone. He owns half of Nairobi. How did he buy them? These are questions that the people ask. Is Ogenda the only one who read the best law? Very many people read the law. Are they very rich? These are questions the Kenyans must ask. The Kenyans need that money to come back into their system. As we shall see the social structures, the welfare structure, the debt, the indebtedness, the educational system, the collapse of the welfare state, the control of capital. If you control capital, you have made people poor. The social structure won't work. Okay, capital also can be controlled, and the state, the social structure like in China can work. We either choose the China way, or if we have chosen the liberal way, we allow everybody to have capital. You can't be explaining to people who have no money in the pocket, who have not eaten last night. Jamen. Yes.
So the Commission has been listening to 31 disciplinary cases facing judges, and they're said to be divided over recommendations, which some feeling that they might end up injuring the integrity of the judiciary rather than cleaning up its image. While the decision to recommend the removal of Justice Jecton Bom-Ojwang was hurriedly arrived at, JSC has taken long to release the verdict of the other 3 judges, and that is really causing a lot of jitters. They seem to be taking sides now. The Commission, apparently.
Yeah. So that video is correct. The one that I've just played, the clip, it shows there is a problem. My topic, I chose it without even seeing this news. I didn't know that there is need to reform the judiciary, to reform it in terms of changing the judges, in terms of getting some of them out. In judges, Maraga is trying too late and doing very little. Too late now. It's like perestroika. He left the thing to work, glasnost to eat the entire system. Then you bring perestroika, Papa. That's where things are. You have Chief Justice Deputy. I think her picture is also here.
It is there.
You see, how can her picture appear here? This mafia woman. She's mafios.
She's part of the jail.
Yes. The only woman that there is this one. Very good. You can even see from the body language. You can tell who is a good person and a bad person.
Really?
Yes. One can tell whether Miriam is a good person or not.
But there's also something called stereotyping that sometimes can be
Stereotyping is different. That's hatred. But deciding the good and the bad depends on the heart.
Not the posture now. Now I'm confused.
Not the posture. The good and the bad depends on the heart, not the posture.
Yes.
The heart.
But you just rated the good.
No, because you could see why I'm saying the lady there is difficult, because I have ever interacted with her.
Difficult. That's
very.
That's a very big word. You know.
Very difficult. Very difficult.
Is she stubborn or just difficult?
Not even stubborn. Very, very,
Difficult.
very, very, very difficult.
Okay, must be very difficult then.
I have evidence.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Can it support the case that is ongoing against her, the evidence that you have?
I will not, the case is going to be decided,
Yes.
I think, next week. Is it 9th?
Just a few days, yeah.
Is it 9th? Around the 9th? Yes.
All right.
So we wait.
Okay. And as we wait, now, before we just jump to our next topic, I go quickly through the African news.
So in short,
Yes.
for President Uhuru Kenyatta to win the war against corruption, let him reorganize, put emphasis on the Supreme Court, pull all the triggers, even including the last trigger of talking to the Chief Justice as to whether he could step aside. I give solutions.
Okay. And just before we go along to the next thing, Daily Nation's headlines here, China's loss is America's sweet gain. So apparently the Kenya delegation is going to the U.S. to see, to look at the Naivasha-Kisumu SGR extension. What do you
That's to spend more money. We wish them good luck.
Okay.
I hope this time they are not, have you seen? Now, they are not now correcting. They are not correcting the headlines. Have you seen where the government in this country goes wrong?
So maybe it's not, maybe the headlines
No, wait.
wrong.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, but correct it. China's loss is America's sweet gain. They are going to America to see what is there. They have not been told, come and we carry money. This is where in communication you don't allow rumor. And I don't know when I will speak under some people in this country here. Wait. This delegation is going to,
Yes.
it is going to America to engage. It has not gone to carry money. Now we are leaving a headline that is going to haunt the government. When Dr. Monica Juma comes back with nothing, or with promises and the promissory notes, people are going to be up in the arms and they will be against the state. Why can't the government clarify that our move and our travel to United States is not to pick money from United States
For SGR.
or for replacing SGR or doing this? We are going there to do bilateral, multilateral. We are going to be new dialogue. We are going to explore. Government can say that. Authoritatively, government spokesman should come up to say authoritatively that delegation is left to explore ways on how to enhance the welfare of the Kenyans. But don't give hope that you are going that side.
And maybe make it clear under what context. Give it, yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
So
that's what they call communication.
So the fact that they have not come up to discuss.
Communication strategy. Now we are leaving this headline.
Yes.
You see, tomorrow we are going to blame each other. This headline is here. China's loss is America's sweet gain. Now Kenyans, any Kenyan in Webuye or Aendo or Ahero
The hope,
or
the hope has
Eseme.
been revived.
Wait, Eseme.
Yes.
He will say, aha, railway inakuja.
Yes.
You see, that's how Kenyan, any Kenyan or any Ugandan will interpret the government. If the government does not come back to say, no, we are going to look for water. We haven't found water yet. But when we get water, we shall inform you that we have the water in our hands. That's what the government can do. That's what the spokesman of the government should have come up openly on the national TV to say, no, the president did not go to China for SGR money. He went for an international conference on roads and belt. Yes.
But he also went for other deals that he was able to get.
That is not, he didn't tell anybody. President Uhuru Kenyatta did not tell people here that he was going to borrow money. Whom did he tell? There is only one President, Kenyatta. I did not hear him say that he was going to bring money. Did he go to that conference?
So
if Raila Odinga has spoken, is Raila Odinga president of this country? Why do you lump it on President Uhuru?
But Raila did not say categorically.
And he did not say, he also said, we are going, Raila could even speak.
But the two of them made a statement at Ahero, I remember, and they said, you know what, we'll find ways to make sure that the SGR extends to Kisumu.
Exactly.
So maybe people assumed Kenya...
Not people, the papers. We shall see this second phase.
Yes.
We journalists.
Yes.
We assume. We talk like gossipers.
Because when you do not give...
You are not filled with information.
Then you're leaving room for speculation.
Thank you.
And that is the job of
now you are coming. Let me have my tea.
Find ways and to find options and to analyze and to be critical, because that is what we're supposed to do anyway as journalists. So,
there you are.
And today
I can have my tea.
You can have your tea in peace.
I can have my tea in peace.
From Nyamira, yes.
Yes. Tea from where?
It's very nice to you.
Tea from where again?
I love it.
From Chief Justice's home? You said tea from Nyamira. Is this tea from Nyamira?
It's the best.
No, this is from Muranga.
And Kericho tea.
Okay, yes, a bit.
There it's coffee.
There I'm happy.
Wonderful coffee.
But there's tea also in Muranga.
A bit of it.
No, very good one.
The sweet one comes from Kericho and Nyamira.
Okay, let me take Nyamira. Thank you very much, viewers. Over to Miriam for the African news. The people are waiting.
The people are waiting, and good afternoon to you. It's about 7 minutes past noon here in Nairobi, and this is what is happening today, being International World Press Freedom Day, and we'll look at that after I'm just quickly going through with the African news. We look at, is freedom of the media a myth or a reality in Africa? And we will have some case studies in different countries in Africa and see what's really happening and the condition of the media and the media space in some of these countries. But first, let's just go through what is making headlines this afternoon in Africa, and we start with Morocco, where the murder trial of 2 Scandinavian tourists opened in Morocco on Thursday at a court in Saleh in the northwest. 24 suspects are accused of killing Louisa Jespersen and Marine Uland in Morocco's High Atlas Mountain on December 17th. The opening hearing was, however, postponed until May 16th after defense lawyers requested more time to examine the case. And we move to Benin, where residents in Benin are now calling on President Patrice Talon to organize new elections or resign after violence broke in a controversial legislative polls. A woman died on Thursday after she was wounded in Wednesday's protest. Medics say another man was brought to the hospital with gunshots at his back. And we go to Algeria, where now the Army Chief of Staff said on Wednesday that the military will ensure the country does not descend into violence. State TV has reported as mass protest that prompted President Abdulaziz Bouteflika to quit on April 2nd continues. And in Ethiopia, officials in Ethiopia say women and children are amongst the victims of what are being described as massacres in the west of the country. The violence in Beni Shangul, Gumuz region was reportedly carried out by organized militias from the neighboring Amhara region and was in response to clashes last week that left more than 20 people dead. The area remains dangerous and no one yet knows how many people have been killed so far. And in Sudan, a member of Sudan's ruling military council has told the BBC Newsday that the armed forces will not accept a civilian majority on an interim power sharing council. Lieutenant General Salah Abde Kaleb said that was a red line. He would perhaps go as far as equal representation, but not further. Talks between the general and the opposition Alliance for Freedom and Change about the makeup of the interim council remain a deadlock. On Thursday, huge numbers again joined protests in the capital, Khartoum, calling for a civilian administration. And the Democratic Republic of Congo, armed rebels have attacked a village in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo, killing 6 people, and there are fears that dozens of others were abducted. A DR Congo military spokesperson blamed Wednesday's attack in Ituri province at Shambi village on the Allied Democratic Front, ADF, a rebel group that originated in Uganda. Congolese soldiers are reported to have fought the rebels for more than an hour. And in Nigeria, police says gunmen have kidnapped a traditional ruler in Daura who is distantly related to Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari. Musa Umar was seized on Wednesday evening from in front of his house by abductors who fired shots into the air at Katsina State Police. Katsina State Police spokesperson has confirmed. And Uganda, the Ugandan pop star and opposition member of parliament, Bobi Wine, has been released on bail after 2 days in prison. Magistrate Esther Nahiria, who gave her decision after the MP testified via a video link, told him he would be returned to jail if he engaged in unlawful demonstrations while free. Bobi Wine, whose real name is Robert Changulanyi, was arrested on Monday for organizing a protest against attacks on the use of social media last year. And in Ambazonia, at least 1,850 persons have been killed and 530,000 internally displaced and tens of thousands of refugees registered in the past 20 months as a result of the crisis in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon, a Brussels-based international crisis group has said. In its latest report published on Thursday, May 2nd, the crisis group said there is no dialogue between the government of Cameroon and Ambazonians, who are both refusing to give ground. The government is counting on a military victory and refuses to discuss the form of the state and Ambazonians' demand for independence. And in South Sudan's rival parties began 2 days of talks in Addis Ababa on Thursday in a bid to salvage a peace deal with just days left before a unity government is meant to be formed. President Salva Kiir, rebel leader Riek Machar, and a handful of other groups inked the peace deal in September 2018. And the latest is a string of efforts to end a devastating conflict now in its 6th year. And still in South Sudan has denied claims that its security services abducted and murdered 2 prominent critics exiled in Kenya. Information Minister Michael Makuei said on Thursday that any investigation on the execution of Mr. Ndong Samuel Luak and Mr. Agre Isbon Idri should start in Kenya, where they were kidnapped. And still in South Sudan President Salva Kiir has held talks with Sudan armed opposition faction in an effort to persuade them to end the fighting and join the new leadership in Khartoum. The Sudan People's Liberation Movement Army, led by Malik Agar, said that it had held a lengthy meeting with President Kiir in Juba on Tuesday in a bid to unite SPLM-N. So that is the latest in Africa this morning. Thank you. This afternoon, thank you so much for joining us. It is 13 minutes past noon here in Nairobi. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, all of you, wherever you are. This is the second 13 minutes past 12 midday. We have 47 minutes. Is it?
Yes.
To crack down the topic before us. I will start this topic in this way. By telling the story. Why I chose, is it a myth or reality? When I was doing my master's degree, I wrote my thesis based on democracy in Uganda. Actually, that is my thesis. And it is there. I don't think I have a copy in Nairobi, but I have several of them in London. Professor Twido, who was my professor, partly a lecturer in London Guildhall University, asked me. At that time, Professor Twido was a friend of the National Resistance Army and the National Resistance Movement. I wrote that thesis based on the experience I had on my own country. And I would like to advise people who want to go to school to write what they know. Don't go and write European history when you don't even know what it means. Part of some of us, our achievements, is we wrote what we know. What you have gone through, the experience, the torture, the humiliation that you have got. So I wrote my thesis for marking. The professor looked at me and said, Do you read who is they picked that thesis only because it touched his interests? I had explained so many. Democracy in Uganda, is it a myth or reality? That is me. By then, I was very small, young, slender, and a bit is very organized, not like now. Now I've eaten a lot of chips and I've grown a bit. So the professor, they said, no, we need to have a meeting with, and this Professor Twiddle was not a lecturer in London Guildhall University. But because all the thesis and what you have written is marked by the professorship of the universities, he happened to be on the political science and international relations aspect. So he came in, he saw something on Uganda. And this Professor Twiddle, a great friend of General Museveni, I don't know whether he's still alive or not. He wrote, is the one who edited the book, The Sowing of the Mustard Seed, the first book. This guy singled me out. Then the other professors said, but what has he done wrong? He said, no, there's nothing wrong, but there are certain aspects that this guy has pointed out. I want to have a one-to-one discussion with David Matanga. I was summoned by the department, the faculty of arts and political science branch to come for a meeting, to meet about 4 professors. So they called me in a room and asked me, who are you? Of course, they had dug my background. I told them I am so and so, and this is the problem, and I'm here. I live in Surrey, and blah, 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 all those things. Now the professor looked at me again. One of them now is stuck. The rest of the 3 were very humble to me. So we are very pleased with the thesis. The thesis you have written, and it will help us to understand the politics of a one-party state emerging in Africa when we are moving a one-party state elsewhere in the Soviet Union. So I compared, I brought nice English, did research. You know, they give you time, almost a full semester. You must prepare that document. Your supervisor comes, looks at it, says, no, correct here, correct here. I did that. And by then I was using typewriter. There was no typewriter. And my first typewriter, I still have it. It's called Brother. It's small. I've kept it in my shed, in my house, for remembrance. The nights that I spent hammering that until I got 40,000 words. Wow. You have to write 40,000 words for a master's degree. It's 30,000 for, I don't know what the people do in Kenya, how they write them. 30 for a normal degree, but 40,000 and above, you don't pass that. You have to have very organized English. So on a typewriter, two brother is black. Mama, don't throw it away from the shed, because my wife is fond of going to destroy my things. At times throw them out. They say, no, they have stayed here long.
Yeah, we like cleaning, so it's...
You like cleaning?
Yes.
So the myth or reality strikes a chord in me. That's why I brought this topic today. Freedom of the press in Africa. Is it a myth or reality? Do we really have that freedom of press? What are the ingredients that make a freedom of press? What are the pros and the cons? What should a good journalist have? What qualities? Are we helping the journalists, the younger generation today, to acquire the qualities that the noble journalistic freedom of speech, freedom of press has embedded? As I speak to you today, I am a member of the Commonwealth In fact, I carried my ID. I'm a member of the Commonwealth. It is here. We have to show I'll give it to you. A member of the Commonwealth
Journalist Association.
Yes, Association. This card accesses me to 10 Downing Street without any query, because the coded numbers and everything are inside here. They said that there the journalist is called Dr. Matanga. Dr. Matanga, Dr. this. I enter 10 Downing Street as a journalist. And I have access, whether there is a Prime Minister of Britain, whether there is a Prime Minister of Tokyo, whether of Japan, or which Putin, you will have access in London. All what you need is to, the names are already there. How many journalists will attend? 200. You just feel under the name goes. Is that the freedom? Is that freedom on this continent? Do we have that freedom on this continent? How many people access state houses on this continent? How many journalists are able to go to the state house without scrutiny? In London, in New York, you can see Trump fighting with CNN journalists, wanting him to be barred, to bar him from attending his conferences. But the world goes on roar. The whole America says no. Why are you blocking one man from CNN? You remember? They had a confrontation with Mr. Trump. So do journalists in Africa enjoy that space? I can tell you frankly that as a Commonwealth Journalist Association, I'm going to vie next month. Actually, it is coming in Rwanda. The Commonwealth meeting is coming in Rwanda next year. I will vie for the chairman of the Commonwealth Journalist Association. I believe people in Kenya will vote me. And I believe people in Uganda will give me the vote. Because I have excelled, I have shown my qualities internationally, and as a strong activist with a base of defending Africa. I will put my name for the candidature of chairmanship of the Commonwealth Association, Commonwealth Journalists Association, in the conference that is taking place in Rwanda, Kigali, next year. So if you didn't know it now. I would need your support. Every journalist in the Commonwealth, India, where I will need the support. This platform has given me the support, and I will speak without fear or favor of anything that touches the journalistic threat, a threat to journalism, the threat to the angle of doing journalism. Have we put conditions, have African countries put conditions conducive? Have the media owners put there enough education? Do we educate people enough? Do we fund people enough? Do we facilitate them enough to do research? Do journalists in Africa research before they publish the story? Are stories in Africa bought in an envelope? The khaki envelope, that syndrome. Yesterday, the Uganda Communication Authority singled out 39 journalists whom you had to sack.
And 13 media houses.
And 30 media houses, including
13, yeah. NT,
directors,
Capital,
editors, Capital FM, including the woman who dances every day. That I think she's one of those. Capital FM, the lady who is always doing very good moves on.
I've not watched her. I should start watching her.
You better watch her.
Okay, good.
So, the Uganda Communication Authority singled out television stations. Does the media regulatory body regulate the media, or it is directed to regulate? That's the question now. The statute in the Uganda laws is very clear. They look at the content, they observe the content. Do they balance that observation, or there is an undue influence from a man above? That's the only question. Otherwise, the regulatory body in Uganda is entitled to look at your content. What is the content you are producing? The content you are producing could be harmful to the public. That's okay. But do they regulate after that? What do you do? Do you regulate the stations by telling them, I want Miriam out? Do you tell me to tell Miriam to get out?
That is high-handedness.
Yes. So this is where the problem in the Uganda case is. The
the Communication
Authorities of Uganda Uganda Communication Council, something like that.
Yes.
UCC.
Would you say it's independent, really?
Independent from who?
From the state.
Where? What is the state in Uganda?
I'm asking.
How do we appoint?
Yes.
How do we appoint the commissioners, the managing directors, the chairperson of the Communication Authority? Through the minister. The minister appoints, takes the minister, the names to the cabinet. The cabinet approves. So it is, you are not independent. You are not independent.
Because you would think if one of the media houses or an editor or a reporter or a journalist just goes outside of the ethical, what they're required to do, I think there's a media body that is supposed to find.
That's the Media Council.
Yes.
The Media Council is the one that is supposed to cite
and to take
the problem
action
and take action on particular
yes.
journalists
Yes.
that this type of reporting is creating a state of war. Apparently, the story in Uganda is the journalists have been photographing the way police has been beating up people, has been arresting people. The way the police even broke the window of Mr. Chagulanyi, put tear gas inside
the home. This
is where the camera, what do you call it, the back of the camera was broken. The journalist from NBS who was close saw and broadcast this live. And the Ugandans saw a tear gas can put inside to keep, and the man was crying for water, water, water. Mumpe amazi, mumpe amazi. You know, these are some of the things that Africa, we become savages. We are savages. That's why I've shown you this. You see? I've shown you this ID to show that I live, I work, I've worked and continue to work also in the United Kingdom, but you don't find those obstacles. Those obstacles are not there. Why? Because those obstacles don't exist. Because there is a social background. The social structures that Uhuru Kenyatta is trying to build here, the healthcare, the housing, the food, the borrowing that each country is trying to borrow, is to lay a social structure, a social contract. Tomorrow, 5 years, 10 years to come, if Kenya moves the way it is moving, there will be nobody harassing the media. The people coming 10, 20, 30, 32, the media will even do what it wants. Because Kenya is growing, a democratic dispensation grows around Kenya. Kenya is a model of Africa in terms of growing democracy.
And media freedom.
And the media freedom.
We have that.
Yes, there are people here who criticize in Kenya. There are people who say very bad things about the government. The government does not lock their stations down. We every day, day and night, we are insulting the government. They are insulting the president. The president has never closed them down. On press conferences, the president He's asked very embarrassing questions, but the president does not follow any particular journalist to warn him,
to victimize
him. That is the culture that we in Africa must have in order to attain that highest degree of integrity in the media. So the media in Africa, the freedom of speech is still a myth.
In a lot of African countries.
Yes.
And of course, a lot of
in a nutshell.
And the repression and of course sanctions we've seen that characterizes a lot of the media spaces in Africa. And we just talked about Uganda, where journalists who even criticize the government have been known to be attacked or even kidnapped, while President Museveni also has described journalists as parasites, in 2018. And of course, authorities have repeatedly prevented the broadcast of television reports and threatened to shut stations down. Even our own NTV that is in Uganda, there's a time to shut down because they showed a clip of President Museveni sleeping in a public forum, which for us here would make for a good bullseye, and we laugh about it, and it's not a big deal, but apparently in Uganda you can't do that. And so that is the state. And of course yesterday the Communications Authority of Uganda closed down about 13 leading media houses and reprimanded a few journalists for, I think, showing what Dr. Matanga just explained a while ago, the happenings when Mr. Bobby Wine was being arrested. And of course, he spent 2 days in jail, but he was released yesterday after, under certain conditions. And so that is that. And also in Ethiopia, there have been cases of about 250 websites that have been blocked. And Ethiopia, on the other hand, is making, as much as it's making progress since the Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed came into power in 2008. He's just celebrated 1 year, his first anniversary last month, and there've seen to be some changes, but still Ethiopia conditions for journalists was not very good, and 250 websites were blocked. But right now, after the Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed came, I think they were unblocked. And you go to places like Eritrea, and there's a very firm censorship in the media. So it's not just even Uganda, or you see, it's a trend when it comes to African countries. And when you mentioned that CNN reporter, I can't remember his name, who is the correspondent from White House, they don't agree all the time with Sarah Sanders, and he will ask the questions that he feels what American people want to know.
Yes.
So when the State House even threatens to block him from taking his access card to White House, the world is like, no, this is America, we can't do that.
Yes.
Are we that far much behind
actually
the
type of card,
yes,
access card, in Britain is given once you belong to Commonwealth Journalists Association,
yes, or
any other international agency, your name is put in that house. The department of the presidency or the department of the Prime Minister's Department for Communication, they have your details. Even the Prime Minister, for example, I used to go to 10 Downing Street. Tony Blair says, yes, my friend Matanga. Yes. And my friend Matanga, Mr. What is his name? The one who replaced the Tony Blair.
The one who left.
Who left? He's a friend, a man from Scotland. He says, Dr. Matanga, yes, I hope you are not telling us to leave Zimbabwe. Because at that time, I had, at that height of it all, I'm telling you the true story of...
David Cameron, you mean?
No, not David Cameron. The guy from... The man who replaced Tony Blair is from the Labour Party.
Okay.
Gordon Brown.
Gordon Brown.
My friend Gordon Brown.
Yes.
He says, I hope you are not telling us to allow Mugabe to come to London. But however, let's hear what you are saying. All these people, Margaret Beckett, they use, this is how I picked my contacts in Britain. I used to go for those press conferences when I was a senior African journalist, consultant for Sky News. I used to attend those conferences. And there is no way that we look here, when you see in Africa here, the way they treat journalists, the way ourselves treat each other. I looked at the the thing last night, the gang. There is only one girl on that, 2 people. The gang on Citizen. That girl, Jamila, how a good, what is that good? She's so good. You know, you can see she doesn't speak with malice. But when you come to the men, Linus Kaikai speaks with malice. Malice, you know, such people should be in the political world so that politicians also can touch them. You see, the way Linus Kaikai speaks can make a person you is attacking to write some very bad things. Now you don't blame Bishop Nganga. Because Linus Kaikai, from the time I saw him about 8 years ago in Mombasa, attacking Obasanjo. Obasanjo stood up to go and beat him. He said he doesn't care, he's a military man. You younger man, you can't speak like that. I was on the panel. I had to stand and say, I don't know, please, hold it. Ask PLO Lumumba. We are there, all of us. Ask Muruka, Barack Muruka, we were there.
Yes.
So, from that day, I saw Linus Kaikai as someone very not worth to bring me, even if I have the smallest test station, I will not employ him. Because he creates chaos. Mr. Ageyo speaks very well. He has ideas, he has very cheap malice of politics. That's a bit ODM and Jubilee. That is it, he's very much with Baba. So he managed to block me in Equatian. That's okay, but he is a good person. Yvonne Ekwara, very good. I'm talking of class because this is a day for journalists to assess ourselves. Do we really do good things? Do we do what the public wants? Do we do what the government says? You don't speak about the security. For example, you cannot compromise the security of the troops in Somalia by glorifying Al-Shabaab. Do we glorify terrorists? The media did a very good job on corruption. The president came and said they are vigilantes. You can see now, apart from Waititu story today, have you seen in the main, they have withdrawn. So that relationship in Kenya, is it a reality? Is it growing? Is it a myth?
And of course, we would agree that Kenyan media space it's better compared to some other African
Yes,
countries.
it is.
But we've also had
just compare the Uganda one. Don't say better than.
Uganda is just a case on its own.
What about Cameroon?
Yes.
We are talking about Uganda.
Yes.
Let's go to Cameroon. Let's go to Nigeria. Where
even Burundi.
No, journalists have been killed, yes, are being slaughtered, yes, are being maimed, are being tortured. There are journalists in Cameroon who are in detention as we speak today. They have not been released. Their only crime is that they stood up to write stories that depicted General or President Paul Biya as a dictator, as a killer, as a rapist, as a defiler, as a buyer of 1 million hair of a wife, corruption, as a corrupt leader.
And even in Tanzania, there have been problems, especially with the leadership of President Pombe Magufuli. He seemed to be trying to squeeze the space for the media in Tanzania. And of course, was it in February? He closed down one of the leading newspapers in Tanzania, Citizen newspaper, that was carrying out a report that he did not agree with. And I think that even some international organizations and even human rights organizations came out and said, no, I think President Pombe Magufuli is going down a very dangerous road. And of course, he's been seen as suppressing the media since taking office in 2015, and more than a dozen media outlets have been shut down, and websites and new blogs must pay high fees if they want to stay online. And in February 2019, of course, I just mentioned the newspaper The Citizen was forced to close for a week after being accused of deliberately publishing false information. So also Tanzania has its own challenges of when it comes to media freedom. So this freedom in the media in Africa, is it a myth or just a reality?
It's a myth. In most African countries, it's a myth. And I want to teach the younger journalists to avoid three things. And when you are a journalist, avoid the three things.
Number one.
They heard, they say, and the third one, they said, they heard, they say. Three.
So what's wrong with they heard? Put that into context.
So they heard, maybe, I hope you are going to give me some of the tuition money.
I paid my lecturer. That's okay.
They heard.
Yes.
Don't say I heard. When you are being taught media, they tell you to go and see. Don't say I heard. Don't say they said. Go and be part of the say.
That will be rumors.
That's And don't say. Another word that I can see, let me see.
You must substantiate. You can't.
Yes.
Yes. I think that is a very basic requirement in journalism. You must go and make sure that you bring facts.
The words I heard, they said, they say. Those are the three words. I'd forgotten a bit. I heard, they said.
Yes.
If you want to live a happy life as a journalist in Africa, wherever you are, learn from Dr. Matsanga. Today, I heard, they said, they say. If you are writing me an essay, and I'm the editor in charge, I will not give you even half a mark. Because you have not, and you put these words, I heard, they said, they say. I heard the sources. Either write the sources impeccable. It means you have spoken to the person.
Yes.
You can come up and say, yes, I got this. It means you have got evidence in your hands.
Yes, you can verify that.
No journalist should say, I heard. This day should be dedicated to teaching journalists. And that you can add another word, they see. Don't say I saw. Actually say I saw. I was there in Khartoum. I saw trucks moving Bashir towards another new security location. Maybe preparing him to go under the underground tunnel to Red Sea to Saudi Arabia. You see, you speculate and you have caused the world a lot of pain.
Damage, yes.
Speculation
media sometimes can be a weapon of mass destruction if not used properly. Yes.
Media
misinformation is dangerous.
So before we come to the basis of the ingredients needed in a society where journalism and the freedom of speech, freedom of press can be given, we need to look at the worst side of us journalists. What do we do with the current social media, the fake news that arrive on a daily basis, the littered Assange, the WikiLeaks that we have, the things that you did in privacy, returning to haunt you in public, the digital era. When I was starting this television station on a digital platform 3.5 years ago, everybody in Nairobi laughed at me. They said, what type of TV is that? I was with Madame Christine Matu as my producer, I thank you very much. We started here a digital platform. Today, every television station is switching off from the mainstream, and it is on the digital platform. It's easy to manage, it's easy to control financially. All institutions, give it 5 years, there will be no lady reading news there. Where will it be? You know, if you are reading to go and read the news, read another subject also, because look at ahead. There will be no people. Everybody will have a television. 5-10 years to come, if everybody will be exchanging, people will only call to the studio. Oh, I'm here, connect me. I'm here, connect me. You have seen the point. That technology is moving to the station. That the station will have only one person, one producer, one technical man to say live now. We have so and so in the studio, and we are connected to 1,000 people who would like to interact in this program.
I think even now the major television stations are on the digital platform.
Yes, but things are changing.
Things are changing, and we can't completely do away with the traditional way of even bringing the news and all that. I think what they need to do is just up their game and be in line, in tune with the current trends and things like that when it comes to the media. And now moving forward, we see the threats of, and of course, the freedom in the media in Africa is not only a myth. Sometimes it's even a fallacy. It's not really there. They pretend as though it's there, but it's not really there. Places like even Rwanda, you cannot criticize President Paul Kagame. So a lot of even Rwandese good journalists are out in exile and are working for other international media houses. So what will be the way forward in the media in Africa as a whole for us to really enjoy this freedom?
Is to create the ingredients of social media, of social contract. Madam, we can talk until Jerusalem temple is rebuilt again. The one that Jesus drove out the gamblers.
That would be a good thing.
But until we do several things in Africa,
yes,
create a social contract. There is no country in Africa that has a social contract. Our social contract in Africa is broken down. The health care service is broken down. The media will have a problem with you. Poverty levels are high. The media will have a problem with you. Is every Rwandese happy? Is every money flowing in Rwandese hands? The media will be happy with you. Will it be happy with you? If Rwandese are happy. The media was very happy when Rwanda shook hands, killers shook hands with those they killed. That was very good. Media was happy. You will have a good media if you don't borrow. The media will have no problem with you. I'm showing you some of the things that make, when we reach that bottom line, believe me or not, you'll ask me what I was meaning. We come down to the level you control the crime, guns, to be in the control of very few people, the army. If you don't, the media will come for you. Will say the guns are killing our people on the streets in Kenya, in Uganda, in Congo. The media will have a problem. Because your question was, what can the media do to be on a safe? You can't be on a safe side when you don't have the ingredients of a social structure. Until Africa comes to a social contract, until governments bring a social contract, what is making the Ugandan situation worse between the media and the governing body? Social contract. The journalists going to report have families. Some of the children have not gone to school. If he doesn't report a story that will impress people, that will impress the politician, so that the politician can give 1 million or 500,000 or 300,000 Uganda shillings. He won't be able to survive at home. Have we made conditions conducive for the journalists to report and come back home, like in London or CNN journalists? Whether you came with a zero report or not, but you're in a state house, you went to White House, you'll be paid. We have not paid enough structure, welfare of the journalists. We have killed the welfare state.
So it's easy to compromise.
Yes, some journalists have no welfare state. Their shoes are as with holes. So when a journalist with shoes with holes stands before a president or a prime minister or a minister to ask a question, the minister first looks down like this, who is this one? Let's put the welfare of the journalists in Africa. Seriously, the welfare of is important, both so that corruption does not come. If you take me to Amror Dam, is it Error and Kimiror, to dig like the other weekend, several journalists from several television stations. You think those boys are not happy now? Even if the Saturday does not come, they are already happy. Money change the hands. It's not a lie. If you look at their M-Pesa, it's very active. Yes. And some of them do these things without noticing that M-Pesa can one day land you in trouble. Once you see an active journalist, there's an M-Pesa, account is smiling, then you know something has landed. But a real hard-working journalist, his M-Pesa does not smile. I don't know whether you agree with.
I hear you. I hear what you're saying.
No,
but also,
honestly, a hard-working journalist, a man who is going to tell you that Waititu, the papers he read, should have refused to read them. Waititu carried the report. It means he did not read. But not a journalist who is going to tell you Waititu has been compromised by some invisible darker forces. Yet Waititu carried the report from Kiambu. Himself gave a copy to the Senate.
Yes.
Is that journalism in Africa? Can it be a reality? No. It means this man is busy building buildings and telling rivers to be relocated, but not working for the people of Kiambu, because he doesn't even read his own report. Someone must have written this report and inserted the things that it means Waititu did not read. So he can't blame us or blame anybody. He blames his ignorance. So you can't blame journalists for writing the story that they have written. So in short, the welfare. Then we come to the question of education. Are the journalists in Africa well educated? Do they have grades? Do they have grades? To ask about Japan, the loan between Japan, you saw someone was asking about how much money is this. Do you have enough knowledge? You as a journalist, when you are asked in Africa that who overthrew Muammar Gaddafi, you are in the middle of an interview. The president of that African country asks you that, I don't want you to, or you are discussing and you have asked him a question. I don't want you to make my country look like Libya. And by the way, this Libyan leader overthrew which king? So when you are a journalist, you must be prepared for such questions coming from even the man you are interviewing. Don't say King Mustafa or King Muhammad or King Fayyad It is King Idris. The answers, as a journalist, the answers must be on the fingertips. You don't wait to be embarrassed. Neither do you embarrass your friends, your person you are interviewing. There are questions that you know this guy might not answer. For the sake of the public, let me leave it. That's what a PR, a person, an editor is supposed to do. So, if we don't have that, we don't have enough education. Everybody in this country, in this world, in Kenya, in Uganda, is running for journalism because it's a soft subject for everyone to crowd around. But do we have the intel, the capability to sustain journalism?
And to be a good journalist.
To be a good journalist and ask serious questions. You have seen so many people coming here saying, oh, I was with you. You asked me several questions. You remember some client came here.
The former presidential candidate.
Yes, he said, you asked me so many tough questions. There is also the question of class warfare, struggle within our institutions where you are placed as a journalist, and the class struggle of which I've talked about, where people underrate the journalists as journalism, which what? My father only told me 2 jobs you can do.
A doctor.
Doctor,
yes.
Medical, and a lawyer.
Yes.
And then they added the teacher. But my father diverted, he wanted me to become a bishop.
Bishop, yes.
Bishop David Matanga from Bishop Taka College, Mukono. Near Kampala. That's where I was taken. Filled the forms. I hope those forms are in history still there. But you know when that time was? 1975.
I don't think the forms are there.
Yes, the records are kept.
The records are kept. But you formed, but you did not complete the.
No, one of my uncles said, "Where are you?" By then there were no mobile phones.
Yes.
So we drove back to Kampala to go and stay there to fill the forms in his house. So he came back for lunch and found us. He said, "What is this?" He told my father, "Are you mad? You took Nani, this guy David, to a Bishop Taka College, Mukono. Please, tomorrow, Mzee, you return and do some other work. Let him stay here." That uncle is still alive there. He stayed with me. He said, "Don't go to Bishop College." As I was there, another uncle arrived. I told you the story already. Another one wanted me to go to Bukalasa Agricultural College to study agriculture. Another one wanted me to, this uncle now stuck on me to go to Uganda College of Commerce. By then it was offering a diploma in business administration to be an accountant. But I was very poor at mathematics. But he called someone to fix me there. A lady whom, Oliver Nabukonde, I remember that lady, who worked as a secretary to Dr. Mwanga. This lady said, "Okay, fine, the place is given." I was given everything. I studied business administration. That's why maybe I have this business
acumen
to create at least a business. I have that. So when I was there, another uncle said, "No, this place you can't stay here. You have to go back and study divinity." Now this one matched with the father. They worked together. Said, "That boy," my father was always saying, "That boy needs to preach." This one brought me.
Oh, your father just wanted to live his dream precariously.
Exactly, but he got it.
He did.
Yeah, he got a dream. I studied later on in the United Kingdom. I studied political science and international relations. This is the boy. Father, wherever you are, I'm here.
Did you say United Nations or United Kingdom?
United Kingdom.
Okay, good.
Yes. I studied fully fledged. Even he surprised the Professor Twido. So that's it. The dream came. The man brought me from there back to this to finish up our story. And I come to see whether there is a myth or reality.
Yeah, the freedom in the
yes.
in Africa, yes.
I was given a divinity, BCG, divinity, history and geography, which leads me because I passed English literature very well.
That is what we used to call here geography, history, and CRE.
And the CRE, divinity.
And religious studies.
Yes, that was in A levels.
Yes.
Yeah, I was given that because the components. Now another one said BCG because I passed biology. I don't know that. How did I pass biology? I was very poor. I passed biology. I passed chemistry. I swear in the name of God, I passed chemistry. That was one of my worst subjects. And I passed chemistry. I passed biology. One of my worst subjects was mathematics. So anything that involved mathematics in chemistry, I passed chemistry and physics. I did pass very well. I was surprised. And that's why I was told you do BCG, biology, chemistry, and geography, which I had passed with credit 3. Credit 3 in geography. You see the combination. I am not also talking Shen. The combination. So these are some of the things, viewers, when you are selecting education in all this, as a journalist, yes. Education is very important. The background must be there. The background which can do things without any hesitation. You are able to relate. You are able to answer questions that you never expected for them to come.
Yes, and there's just something you mentioned while you were explaining some of the things that probably makes the journalists a bit friendly to the government, which should not be the case. I believe journalists should not take sides, and journalists should not even be in the middle. Journalists should just stick with the facts and the truth. That's it. Not even be like you in the middle. You shouldn't be. Facts and the truth. That is our job as journalists. So why do you think some, especially the African leaders, perceive journalists as the enemy of the country, or what the way Trump sometimes says these are the enemy of the Americans? But that is how we are perceived here, especially in Africa.
Because we go there.
The state, yes.
Because you are an enemy. You are an enemy because
yes.
The politician assumes he knows everything.
Okay.
And you are coming.
So you point out that
yes, you are coming to unravel the usual things.
Yes.
You are causing stomach pain. So they will even kill you. That's why you see most politicians kill journalists. Journalists have died.
They have.
Anybody who writes about corruption has faced death threats. All of us here know the truth. In Russia, there has been killings of journalists. Khashoggi was killed because Khashoggi was writing very critical
of the Saudi
kingdom. And when you look at America, America tried to cover up Khashoggi death. An American found dead in a Turkish territory.
He was turned into minced meat.
Yes.
Yes.
He was crushed to minced meat.
Went down the seaway.
And went down the sewage. We can never find his dead body. America still dines with Saudi Arabia.
Yes, Mohammed bin Salman.
If it was an African country.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Imagine what would have happened.
And when we were talking about the other day, the intervention and the regime changes.
Yes.
So such places, they don't, they didn't even do anything.
Double standards.
Double standards indeed.
Look at what they are doing. In Amazonia, the killings, they are killing people. But there is nobody who is pointing out to these mistakes in Amazonia and Biafra. Nobody. Look at what they have done in Khartoum. They are bringing the army to clash because the first when they said take out Khartoum, President Bashir, they expected bloodshed. They did not get the bloodshed. Now they are pushed Khartoum towards bloodshed. You see the quarrel, the pull and the push in Khartoum now is going to produce bloodshed.
I hope not.
No, it is.
If he continues, yes.
You saw what the army...
Because the civilians...
the army chief has said.
The army wanted to have an 8-man team and the civilians 7. The civilians are saying, no, civilians should have more. And the army came out and said, no, there's no way. And if it's like that, then we'd better have just equal numbers in the same team. So that is actually what they're fighting about. Very, very...
Yeah, but to fight about, you cannot say you have equal number with the army. The army, first of all, there is no constitution. The army has to supervise these guys to do a constitution. What I believe about Sudan is the Sudanese should be left to decide. The army should control and direct how Sudan should take the next course, not civilians. Because if we leave these Sudanese, the younger generation I've seen here on TV coming up to make statements, they will take us to Libya.
Take us to Libya. And of course, the talks between warring factions in South Sudan has started in Addis Ababa. I did not get if the main leaders attended, but it is expected that Bashar attended, and he is in Khartoum apparently.
Yes.
Went back to Khartoum.
Yeah.
Yes.
He went to Khartoum
after the Rome visit, the Vatican visit.
Because Ethiopia doesn't like him.
So now there's the talks between his faction and
Khartoum also has to keep its side of bargain.
Yes, indeed.
Because if he wants to be in IGAD, it has to keep him there.
It has to.
Yeah.
Yes, so it started on 2nd, that was yesterday, and today I think it will continue. So we'll wait and see. Maybe in the African...
I'll try to contact Riak and see from Addis Ababa. I will know something by Sunday. When we are back,
yes,
we shall know.
We can talk about that.
Yeah.
All right. So today we're just looking at some of the, challenges when it comes to the media in Africa and the freedom of media in Africa. Is it a myth or reality? And indeed,
in Uganda, let's summarize by saying Uganda, it is a myth. The freedom is not yet up to the level that journalists can enjoy. Ethiopia,
the Abiy has changed things.
The Prime Minister has changed. There is that reality coming.
Yes.
Eritrea, no.
Yes.
There is nothing there.
Heavy-handedness of the media by the government.
Yes. Dictatorship.
Yes.
Burundi, no.
They even blocked BBC and Voice of America journalists.
There is no media freedom in Burundi.
Yes.
Gabon, no. There's no media freedom.
Especially after the attempted coup that happened.
DRC, yes, a bit of it.
Now, yes.
But now,
Tshisekedi, yes. He said one of his main promises, he wants to improve on the media condition in the country. So let's just give him the benefit of the doubt. But before that, it was terrible, yes.
Yes, Chad, no. Chad has even cut off social media.
Yes.
So you can't even express yourself with the next neighbor.
And expulsion of foreign journalists.
Yes, Chad, no media. Tanzania, yes, there is half. There is real 3/4 of media, but a quarter dictatorship as a censorship.
Suppression, yes.
Rwanda,
and
yes.
Very strict government control.
But not under strict government control. I think the Rwandese regulate themselves. They know what type of content to come out. Yes. Okay. Yes. Because there is a social network, a social contract that has growing and has grown in Rwanda. So people know what they can broadcast and not broadcast.
But there is a disquiet.
Yes, it is. A quarter of it.
A bit of it.
There's disquiet.
Yes.
Because you cannot start insulting President Kagame on national television, call him names. Like the people call President Uhuru here names.
2 weeks ago, it was passed that you can't even do a cartoon on president. You can't even criticize. Even a member of minister, you can't do that. Otherwise, you land yourself 7 years in jail. If you even do a cartoon caricature on President Paul Kagame.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes.
Over to you, Miriam.
All right. So
I've done the talking, most of it today.
Yes.
You have learned one or two things.
Yes, and we want to thank our viewers. Today I did not take up a lot of your comments, but Samuel Hassan Frank, just before we leave, you're saying, good morning, Punchline Africa Doctor, and my sister in the studio. God bless you for this great topic. This is exactly what is happening in Nigeria, where the media support evil, government, Nigerian newspapers, television stations, radio stations, and the worst of all countries. So you're saying their media is very biased and leans toward the government, and of course Israel. Williams is saying good afternoon, home and abroad. Nice news today again. Africa is still on fire, and North Nigeria, Animal Kingdom. All right, a lot of you, and we want to thank you so much for your participation and for being part of this show today. So we'll see them on Sunday for the African Showdown.
Okay, thank you very much. This station therefore goes on recess until further notes on Sunday.
On Sunday.
Yeah,
Sunday,
thank you.
2 p.m.
God bless you.
All right, we'll see you then.